into like, the whole cannabis industry, brown people in the cannabis industry, and then we're gonna like kind of get into
we're recording.
Okay. Hey, what's up, y'all? It is MadelinekaritA. And I'm on MCN6, and you are watching the Madeline Show. And I am here with the illustrious, amazing Michael Ford from Minnesota Marijuana.
Right. Thanks.
How are you doing?
Hi.
Hi. You know what?
I'm gonna try to work it.
I forgot a lighter, or else I would be joining you guys. I even got my afro and my Minnesota Stoner shirt. I
got a lighter free. Oh, nope, I guess I don't. I thought I had one in my pocket.
It's cool. But yeah, like you're not only from Minnesota Marijuana, you not only run Minnesota Marijuana, you run Normal, you ran for the state auditor. Right. You also just finished doing a green cruise down the river.
Well, it wasn't a green cruise. It was a rally and it was a protest. We were fighting for legalization. So we did a cannabis march for freedom from Harriet Island. Then we went on a cruise after. So it's kind of a combination. Yeah.
That's awesome. Ooh, excuse me. Yeah. Oh, I'm over here burping. Ooh. You're getting the real stuff here, guys. My audience knows I keep it real. That's what they come for. They come for that realness. You may even hear a fart once in a while in here. We keep it natural.
Keep it natural. I see you got it on.
Right. But okay. So this doesn't necessarily have to tie into marijuana. This kind of does. It kind of doesn't. Last night I got a email exposing all the Minnesota racists. Well, not all of them, but there was like a select few of Minnesota racists where I was like, wow, I didn't know you were racist. Well, that's surprising.
Right.
And part of me was just like, well, I could just ignore this, or I could actually take the time to expose them. And while I was doing the exposing, I actually came across one woman. She was a realtor. Her name was Marissa Mengel, and she works at, what is it, does Deracho's Realty Group? And I was like, wow, your ability to affect maybe Black homeowners, people who are of color looking for jobs, could really, put not a damper, but like her being in a position of power could put Black people and people of color in positions where, they could end up being in dangerous situations. They're not seeing everything that's coming. They're not seeing all the properties. Right. So I felt like it was my duty to put this chick on blast. And I guess that brings me into, with what you do with the cannabis industry, we can't sit there and pretend that there isn't a color divide when it comes to how cannabis is treated when it comes to people of color versus people of non-color.
Right. Do you mean Black people, or do you mean people of color like Black, Native, Hispanic?
I mean, even I guess I have to say like all people of color, not just like because Hispanics are unfairly targeted, right? Black people are unfairly targeted. Like we're seeing harsher sentences. So for me, you being the head of that as a Black man, that's incredible. Hey. Because when we look at the statistics, if you committed the crime versus somebody that would happen to be white in the same situation, you would be more likely to go to jail.
Yeah, 9 times.
So how did you get from not being, how did you get to being the marijuana advocate? How did you get to that point?
I don't know. I just smoked a lot of weed.
I smoke a lot of weed.
I got on Twitter. I had a little Twitter account.
Okay.
Started telling a little bit of my story on there, and then it got hacked. I kind of found that I wanted to do more than just, post memes and do weed tweets. So I tried to get involved with Normal. Marcus Harkis was the director then, and just kind of spiraled down from there.
Okay. So it really just started with you being on Twitter being like, yo, man, weed.
Yeah. They passed the bill for medical cannabis, and I thought it was a horrible bill, but it was a step in the right direction. That's what I said. It's a foot in the door. But, now looking back, it was a horrible decision. We have the worst medical program in the nation. It's hard to get into. Most of the patients that are getting medication, can't afford it, so they end up back in the black market. I actually have statistics on the Minnesota medical cannabis program, and it's still racially biased.
Of course it is. I mean, we just had a fight about this last month.
So there's, I want to say, I'm not going to tell you the exact numbers, but roughly 10,000 white Americans in the medical cannabis in Minnesota compared to 500 black. 10,000 versus 500. And of those 500, how many of them can actually afford to stay on the program with the cost of the medication? They got pill, oil, tincture. They don't have any flour included in that. So a majority of the people that are getting in the medical program are reverting back to the black market. You know what I'm saying?
Of course, because the prices are better. You're buying it from somebody you trust.
Yeah.
Because currently, like, I don't know how high the trust is in the government right now. It's at an all-time low.
I try to be political without being political. I deal with the immediate area. So like my neighborhood, I know my representative. I give him a shout out, Jay Jong. Yeah, shout out to my representative. He represented, he actually introduced the cannabis legalization bill. He said he was going to do it when he got elected. He's been kicking ass. So shout out to Jay Jong. But yeah, we just got to change the laws. Got to make it happen,
You definitely do, but I mean, can I guess from the position we're in, I mean, where do you start with changing the law?
Well, first you got to register to vote. There is a process.
Got to vote, y'all.
Register to vote. That's the number one thing. If you're not registered to vote, you can't elect the right officials. So I know my representative supports me, and I voted for him, and he ended up winning. Not that my one vote, maybe it made a difference or not, but he's going to get into the legislature. He's going to fight for what you believe in. He's going to listen to the people. There's people that are in the legislation that have been there for years and years, and they don't really care what the people think. So first and foremost, you got to use your right to vote if you can vote. If you can't vote, you got to tell somebody that can't vote, that can vote, to get out and vote. Spread awareness as much as possible. That's the only way. After that, do your research. Find out who your legislator is. Find out where they stand on the law that you want to see changed. If it's a more immediate law, like something in your neighborhood or in your direct vicinity, you want to be looking for like city council, school board elections, and make sure that those people that can affect you directly, like where you can park on the street, how loud your music can be, what time you can have activities at, your water and all of that stuff. Those are important, more direct votes. But see, everybody gets wrapped up in the presidential elections and all the drama and all the circles that they don't pay attention to.
Right now,
the
it's
things.
Epstein, Trump.
Right. They don't. They don't pay attention to the things that can immediately, directly impact them from day to day. And that's your city council, your state representatives. Your senators.
Shout out to Andrea Jenkins, y'all.
Yeah. So. The number one thing you can do is register to vote, find out who represents you, and vote for them. Make sure the right people get elected. After that, if you want to support legalization, you can go to minnormal.org, MINN, and that's NORML. Shout out to Vari. You know what I'm saying?
We get our plugs in here, y'all.
Hey, our co-host for the Wake and Bake crew, man. He shouts us out every day. But go on there, get some information, and you can find out how you can sign up to volunteer. There's a lot of steps that it takes. The first step is, like I said, getting registered and then taking an action.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you the question that's on a lot of Minnesota stoners' minds. Where the weed at? When are we going to get legalized recreational marijuana in Minnesota? Because that's what everybody's really trying to ask themselves. I hear this question a lot when I'm out in the street, for some reason, now that I do this show, people come up and smoke me up randomly. Thank y'all, Jesus. Thank you.
Right.
Little bus stop. People are like, I saw you on TV. Hit this black girl before I go.
Right.
And I was like, in the age of COVID, I burn it first, so
I don't pass nothing. If I pass it, don't pass it back. Just keep that.
Keep it.
Just keep
it. Just keep it. But a lot of people want to know, where do we at? When Minnesota getting legalized marijuana?
Well, while we're on the topic of where we're talking about COVID and not passing,
Okay.
There was a bill that was introduced by Ryan Winkler at the end of the section. That bill was to legalize marijuana in Minnesota. He actually did an event all around the state called Be Heard on Cannabis, where the legislators and the people in those areas organized an event where he came in, talked about legalization, talked about the ideas that they wanted to do in the bill, and listened to what the people wanted to see in the bill. After all of that, he came together with the different legalization groups, MRMR, Minnesota Campaign for Full Legalization, the political parties, multiple others, MN Normal. I don't want to forget anybody, but
it's a long list. You do a lot of stuff.
It is a lot. It is a lot of people that are
list.
actually doing a lot behind the scenes. But he let us read the bill. He gave us copies. We went over it. We talked about the things that we had issues with, and there are going to be amendments made to the bill. But the issue is, in Minnesota, it's not like Colorado or California where we can petition to get it on the ballot. It actually has to go through the legislature. So it has to go through the House, and it also has to go through the Senate. So Ryan introduced a bill in the House, but in order for it to get through session, it would have had to be introduced at the beginning of the session. And with COVID-19 and all of those issues arising, they had to shift the focus directly to, addressing COVID-19 and public safety and stuff. So we didn't get any hearings on that specific bill. It's going to be important for people to get out and vote this election because it's going to be a next session, and we're going to have a whole different, possibly a whole different legislation in there. So there's a lot of hoops we got to jump through to get it legal. It's got to pass through the House. It's got to pass through the Senate. Right now, we don't have the support in the Senate. So we have to elect the right legislators, or we have to contact our legislator and convince them that it's something important that the people care about. So, yeah.
Do you think Minnesota's ready for legalized weed?
I think we've been ready. We just, they're just trying to find out how they can tax it, how to keep public safety. And there's been a lot of myths that have been dispelled, like use rate rising in cannabis where it's legal. And we found studies that show that it actually decreases.
Yeah.
And then driving while impaired, we did a live with Tom Gallagher. He's the attorney on our board with Gallagher Criminal Defense. He did a whole presentation on driving while impaired, and they found that you're more likely to get into an accident if you're pregnant or dealing with a child that's screaming in the back than you are if you're high on cannabis. Yeah, it's crazy. That's crazy. That's all statistics.
Wow.
NHTSA. I don't know the acronyms exactly that actually put out the report, but yeah, they're interesting facts, man. So a lot of the myths are being dispelled. So I don't know. Get the right elected officials, or the legislator you got, convince them to do the right thing and do some research. If you do even a little bit of research, you'll see that most of the facts are there. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, definitely. So let's talk about it. Last month, the revolution kicked off.
Yep.
How does the revolution and marijuana legalization work, or you just wait till the revolution gets full swing and just it's gonna end up being legal anyway?
What do you mean by the revolution?
I don't know. I personally feel like the riots and everything, everything, and you would swear I was high, but I'm not. I actually do better when I'm high than when I'm not high.
Right.
That's weird.
Right.
I do not believe that what happened with the riots with George Floyd is the last of it. And I definitely believe that there's going to be more of an increase, especially as November creeps up.
Yeah.
Especially as we get closer and closer to the presidential elections. And also just being out there in the street, and I was doing a documentary, the vibe I'm feeling right now is this is a downtime before this all explodes again.
Right.
And then come winter, it's definitely going to die down in Minnesota, but that still leaves the South and all these other places that are definitely going to start exploding, especially if we've been locked indoors for who knows when COVID's going to be over.
Right.
I mean, at some point, it started in March. So if we're stuck in this till November, it's going to be a very long time with people with I guess their tempers running hot.
Right. Indoors.
There's still systemic racism we dealing with, and we can't have weed. I was like, at least give me one. You can't be racist and not let me smoke weed.
Here's the thing is, you can have weed. In Minnesota, they made cannabis companies essential businesses, so they didn't even shut them down. You just can't have the weed you want. And you got to be in the medical program, and you got to be able to afford it. So it's kind of backwards. But yeah,
that's backwards.
Even with the riots and stuff, when that all happened, I was kind of, immediate action.
Yeah.
Call to action. Nikema and them guys were out there. I showed up out there with them. We all marched down to the precinct, before all the madness started happening. I was still recovering from a broken leg. So
that is right.
I marched all the way there on an injured leg, and then my phone died. So I had to actually walk all the way back. It was horrible. But, you know, we got out there. I went home because I go to bed early and I go take care of my family. But, yeah, they started burning stuff down and, oof, it was a lot. Next day, me and a crew of volunteers, normal volunteers, we went out to St. Paul Midway. Well, first we went to Minneapolis and helped with cleanup in Minneapolis. Then we went to St. Paul Midway where they were looting and tearing stuff up. And it was crazy. We were actually out there cleaning up the lots and picking up all the trash that was happening out there. And the police were standing there like a whole squad of them. And they were chasing off looters all around us. So like they bust into one place and they'd march down there. They'll run in there and loot. And the whole time we're sitting there picking up garbage. The police are like, great job. Thanks, you guys, for helping. I mean, we couldn't do this without you. The city wouldn't have been able to. And then the looters, they're running by like, yeah, legalize it, giving us thumbs up. Like, yeah, thank you guys. So it's crazy because we were getting support from the looters and from the police. And I mean, there's rubber bullets flying by us while we're picking up trash. They just walk around us. They didn't say it was crazy, you know, but it was a great opportunity for us to get out in the community and give something back because we didn't really have anything to give at that time except for, you know, try to help heal, you know. So we went out there, we picked up a ton of trash. We ended up working with Bao with State Voices, delivered like $1,000 worth of food and supplies down to the church in Minneapolis. Assisted out there, volunteered, you know, just did a lot of stuff to kind of heal the community because it's going to happen. Once things blow up, you know, you can't tell somebody when their feelings are different. You know, you can't tell somebody when to stop feeling, you know, angry about what's going on. You know, you got to let people heal in their own time. So we did that, showed up as much as possible, brought our flags out there. People were kind of questioning, like, this isn't the time for weed. I'm like, it's always the time because all of these social justice issues are all intertwined. If African Americans are 9 times more likely to be locked up for cannabis, isn't this a racial issue that we need to address?
Yeah, because a lot of these times,
Right. How many times do they kick in your door, take your children away because of marijuana? They pull you over, pull you out of your car because I can smell some marijuana. I can smell something in there, you know?
Yeah, there was just a video about that. The young man did a video where he was filming the cop and they were like, we smell weed. And then you proceed to watch him get brutalized.
Yeah. See, stuff like that. And like, until people see videos like that, they really don't believe it happens, but it happens like in an alarming rate. One of my friends actually got pulled over and they pulled him out of his car and searched his car because they said they smelt marijuana. And this isn't a black or white thing, you know? He wasn't black. He was white. And he still got victimized. But the thing is African-American, black people are 9 times more likely for that to happen to in Minnesota. Once we try to take some of these tools of oppression out of their belt, you know, it gives us more opportunities and it, you know, helps the situation. So, you know, I always get real deep into the cannabis and, you know, the legalization and try to show people, you know, that it's an issue that's all intertwined. You know, one affects the other. So.
True, one does affect the other. Because, I mean, I was watching, I think I was watching The Daily Show, and they're talking about Breonna Taylor. And, like, one of the things that they claimed when they wrote the warrant, what they weren't sure about, was that she was receiving packages of drugs, that drugs being cannabis, which wasn't happening at all. There was none of that in the house when they finished, you know, when they did the search, there was no proof of any of that. Right. Because it wasn't there. Right.
And if it was happening, like some weed, really? You're going to kick in the door and shoot people
over some weed.
For some weed.
Over a plant
that should not have been illegal in the first place.
I mean, I used to have a book called about the history of weed.
Right.
It started from the beginning of, I guess, Mesopotamia, back in the day. You know, talked about when Jesus was rolling with it, literally.
Right.
You know, and even came up to today on how marijuana became illegal for multiple different reasons, but none of them were valid. You know, and when we talk about marijuana reform, we still have to, like, and African Americans, we have to bring up that in certain states, especially southern states, the idea was that they were able to ban marijuana in certain states because white women were sneaking down to the jazz clubs and hanging out with the Negroes. You know, really thin reasons to outlaw this.
The history in America is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, it's like stuff that you would read in a comic book, not something that you would think would happen in real life. Like, it was actually believing, you know.
Man,
anyway,
you're straight out of a comic book.
Yeah. Right.
Rest in peace, homie.
Yeah.
I mean, he did.
Straight cosplay.
Straight cosplay.
Well, I know we were talking about that. Right.
Straight cosplay.
Right.
But yeah, actually, you know, real quick, what is it? Enter the Dragon dude, one of the very last cast member died from that this week. from Enter the Dragon. The white dude that came through and was like, ha! He departed.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Sorry, we were busy talking about weed, but I was like, yo, shout out to Bruce Lee.
Right.
Enter the Dragon.
Right.
But yeah, when we talk about this, the history of marijuana, there's a lot of racism tied up into it. You know, it's a lot of and I mean, poor whites are also subject to a lot of unfair treatment and brutality, but not as much as African Americans are.
Right.
And once again, I have to bring this back to you.
Right.
You are, let's say, you are a very muscular African American man, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I know you wouldn't harm a fly, but when you walk into meetings and you're talking about marijuana, when you're dealing with these situations, how does that come across? Because you got tattoos, you got muscles, all that, and for a lot of people, you know, when they see a black man that comes through and they're like, they feel a certain kind of way.
You know, I never thought about that. I just assumed that I'm like, you know, I don't know. You know, maybe I don't show enough empathy. I don't know. Is that the word? But I don't know how people feel. I think it's just like, you know,
I mean, it's called I don't give a fuck.
No shit. You know, it's all part of the whole, you know, breaking the stigma though. You know what I mean? I mean, I work out a lot because they say that we're lazy. Stoners are lazy. So I always go to the gym. I always wear one of my cannabis shirts, and people are always asking me for advice. So, you know, you gotta, you know, it's about physical health, but it's also about breaking the stigma. So it's not so much about working out as, you know, breaking the stigma and, you know.
I feel it. I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger definitely admitted to smoking weed before working out. So did a bunch of other celebrities. That's actually why I started smoking green before I started working out. Right. Because Arnold Schwarzenegger had did it. And I mean, I've had a 6-pack about 3 times in my life following that method. Yeah. I need to start doing it again. Yeah. Every time I slow down, every time I'm like, oh, let me not work out and smoke, I don't go as hard. Right. I was like, I just need a steady supply, and in 3 months, I'll just have like the 8-pack all the way down to the toes. You gotta smoke the right thing. Okay, while we're cannabis, here, I mean, yes, there are different strains of cannabis, and they do have different effects. Right. What strain do I need to smoke to get swole? You gotta, strain ain't gonna get you swole. Okay. You still gotta hit the gym, but I smoke a sativa. And the reason I smoke a sativa is because sativa is going to give you more energy, more uplifting, more creative. And then when you listen to music and you work out, it's like I get a better focused. Indica is going to make you more tired. It's going to make you give you that body high where you want to sit down and relax. So if you smoke an indica and you go to the gym, it's not going to work because instead of having that energy and going and hitting your sets, you're going to be sitting on the bench, scrolling on your phone, doing all kind of goofy crap. I'm going to be looking at you like, what are you even paying for this for? Like, you could do that at home. But, you know, with a sativa, it gives me energy. So I smoke sour diesel. That's it. Oh, sour diesel, good choice. Yeah,
that's it. That's about it. You know, I don't really deviate off of that because if you smoke enough, you can get that body high too, you know, but. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, like I mean, so I guess like you might be the the anomaly then. Like when people see you, they're not like, oh my God, scary black man. Right? Maybe. Hopefully, I don't get. I mean, you might not. Yeah. You never know though. You never. Yeah. Well, yeah, this is Minnesota. People will be like, people will be scared, and then later will be like, oh my God, I was so frightened. Right. But still smile at you. Right. And then even with like weed, like it draws all kind of walks of life. So that's like when you were talking about the exposing the races, I was like, man, it's kind of weird. You don't really think about that because there may be people in your circle that are actually racist, but you know, they're able to, you know, work with you and keep that out of the situation because they care about something more important, you know, legalization. But then sometimes, you know, the mask will fall off. It definitely did. The mask will slip a lot, you know, and, you know. It definitely did. You know, for the greater good, you got to, you know. Sometimes you have to work on that, but at the same time, like I couldn't trust somebody that wouldn't. Like my core foundation, like I'm gonna be black. I'm gonna die black. Right. I mean, I'm not gonna put on Michael Jackson or anything. I'm gonna be brown for a long time. I got here brown. I'm leaving brown. So for me, even though I do see that there is a greater good, I couldn't bring myself to work with somebody who would harbor those kinds of feelings because in the end, I'm still a black
I'm a black woman, I'm a black person.
So what do you do in that situation? Do you come to him like, hey, I think you're a racist, and I want to know, or do you, kind of wait, assume, because some people are kind of closet racists and they'll say some sneaky shit, and then you kind of be looking at them like, but then you don't want to ask them, hey, directly, are you a racist? But maybe we should start doing that.
I definitely, I was in a situation with somebody that like I was seeing, and his friends would say little sly racist things.
Right.
And it would be really hard to be like, do you not see this? They'd be like, oh, well, you're just overreacting. And now, now that I'm kind of out of that situation, I just run up on people now.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? Me not being myself, because the old me, if I wasn't in a situation with somebody, I would have just swung on them.
That's no good.
Then that's no good. I used to have I started smoking marijuana because my cousin got tired of me getting in fights.
Did it
help? Got tired. It did help. Actually, it brought me down way. It made a big difference in my personality, because it hit me that like, while I was smoking a J, it hit me that you don't see Michelle Obama out there fucking people up in front of Burger King because they called her a monkey.
Make you think about it a little bit. See, most people, when they get in situations, they don't really think. They just react, get straight to it. When you're high, you're ready to react, but then you're like, your brain start working in the process.
Let me peep
hold
this.
on a second.
Yeah, because I was the person where like, I might have been the valedictorian or whatever, but and I was going to Ivy League schools, but I was still this hood kid that like, what you say about my mama? Oh, really? You want to do this? Yeah. And I was always that person. So, I'm sitting up there in Ivy League schools like, y'all want to rumble? What you trying to do for real?
Right.
My cousin was like, I am tired of you tripping, girl.
Right.
And she got me together. She doesn't smoke anymore, but she definitely got me together because she was just tired of me always. Right. I was always an intense person. I was always a person that was like, oh, what you say to me? Oh, okay, that's what we're going to do? Okay, step out. Right. Show up on your house at 2 o'clock in the morning like, oh, you had all this mouth, huh? And then, I don't know, an accident happened and I actually hurt somebody while I was in this fight. And then I had to sit there and really think about that. I was like, you did all this to somebody because they said you was chubby looking? You did all this? I was fat at the time, though. I'm not going to lie, y'all. I was a little fat kid. I ate good. I got a Creole and Italian grandma and Irish grandma. I ate real good. But marijuana is how, and then I found boxing. I found boxing, I found martial arts, I found working out. And that is how, like, marijuana and working out and boxing is kind of how I helped calm my demons.
It's therapy. It's therapy, right?
It's therapy because, like, I needed it because eventually you're going to hit somebody and they're not going to wake up. After putting somebody in the emergency room, I've done it twice. And it hit me that I was like, you can't keep living like this. What happens when you kill somebody? What happens with all this? And marijuana helped me come to the point where I was like, okay, I need to work through my anger issues. I can't always be swinging on people. Right. But now after the riots, I'm all about swinging on people again. Not joking. Well, no, when it comes to dealing with racists, though, I don't swing anymore. There's better ways to handle it.
Yeah, intelligently,
because in this situation,
I'll think of
a better situation.
We'll try to. Right.
Yeah, like, and before it was just throwing hands because I didn't know any better. And marijuana helped me find a place where I could be calm and think about what I was doing before I did it. I could figure out a way to handle and manage all the thoughts I was having. Right. And I mean, like, for instance, just handling racists now versus me in the old days where I used to just dog walk people. I'd show up at your house. Right. Being like, really? And grab you through the door. It would be, I was, and that's kind of a family trait. I got some angry family, like, I got a highly intense family. I think a lot of us
got that same trait.
Yeah, a lot of us got that same trait. Like, I got some highly intense family members.
Yeah,
And now, for instance, with the situation with the rapist not rapists, racists.
Oh, well, I don't know. Maybe that was a different story.
Maybe that's a different story.
Right.
But yeah, like, for instance, with the one racist I found that was in the position of power, instead of me being like, man, I'm about to show up at her crib, it became more like, okay, let me take what I'm seeing this person write and laugh about and send it to her job. Make this real in a way in which she no longer has power over whether or not people can get their dream home or whether or not black homeowners can have access to the same situations. You know, like, and that was an industry that, like, it has a lot of racial inequities in it.
Yeah, it always has.
And it always
that's
has.
how you accumulate wealth, through property.
Yep, gerrymandering and all that stuff.
All of that.
And I wanted to think about it. I was like, okay, I go to her house, I hit her, I go to jail. I go and I take away her power because she works at a DeRocher's Realty Group. If I go and take away her power, then that's not just something that's for me on the inside to feel better because I beat up a racist. That's a way in which maybe I could help somebody not be subject to this person's secret racist, inclinations. But, and I mean, I think that's, marijuana has definitely helped me with being able to figure out what is a selfish way to do something and what is a better way to do something. And I mean, light update, I sent them that, and the people at the realty group said, well, she said she was sorry. So, just let it go. And I'm like, okay.
She said she was sorry.
She said she was sorry.
Well, that lets you know the culture of the work environment she's in. So,
but I feel like that culture also goes into like how people in Minnesota approach the cannabis industry, how they approached legalization. Like there are people definitely in the way keeping us from getting to legalization.
Right.
There are definitely people keeping up the status quo where African Americans remaining 9 times more likely to be incarcerated for the same crimes that are committed by white peers.
Right.
And it's just trying to figure out a way, like you said, by voting, we can get rid of that status quo. Yeah.
Well, we got to educate each other first. Ooh, because if you get a felony for some weed, more than 0.25 of a gram of some wax of a vape, you lose your right to vote if you get convicted of that.
And that's part of the game, I think. That's the setup.
You lose your vote.
That's the setup.
You can't vote to legalize it. You don't lost your right off of, for having a vape in your pocket.
Yeah, but that's the setup, though.
For having too much weed in your bag. It's crazy.
Yeah, and it makes no sense when you can go from one state over there. You go to Chicago, buy weed, come back. And then...
Or you can pay the state and buy it from the state and
but that's
get
a lot
from
of
the medical dispensaries.
But that's a lot of work.
It's really not.
I don't know. Well, I guess...
It's really not. But the problem is it's not affordable. The process isn't too hard. Now, they've been adding a bunch of different qualifying conditions, so I'll give the medical program that, PTSD, sleep apnea, and a bunch of other qualifying conditions. So it's a little easier to get in the program, but it's still not expensive. It's still too expensive for people to even,
Yeah, and that takes more time because if I want a blunt, like an hour after this show...
You can't smoke a blunt if you're in the medical program.
Oh, what?
Nope. Flower is not part of the medical program.
But that's like the most natural,
right?
That's how it comes. Everything else is like been modified and like homogenized by humans and pasteurized for your protection,
and turned into an oil
and turned into everything.
Craziness.
This is craziness. How do I still live in a country where we're policing plants? How is this going on? Is this the Dark Ages? Did nobody tell me that I'm in the Dark Ages, y'all?
It's cosplay.
It's a cosplay.
Straight out the comic.
It's straight out comic books. It is. It is. Like, I'm looking at this situation and I'm just like, wow, this is where I'm at right now. And I mean, a lot of people still say, well, when it comes back to the racial inequalities in marijuana, a lot of people are like, well, they shouldn't have had weed on them and the cop wouldn't have been able to do that to them. Even though it doesn't make any sense that why somebody should be able to become an executioner over a plant?
Yep.
And how do you handle that? Because some people will see what you're doing as, you're promoting a criminal activity or you're what is it? Damaging the minds of the youth by saying weed is okay.
Well,
how do you handle that?
You got to break bad laws, civil disobedience. It's your right to choose, right?
Yeah. So. I guess it is your right to choose. I guess it is your right to choose.
Yep, it gets deep. But then another thing is, if we want to get into the market, into the business, one, we got to be at the table when they're having the discussions about, what the business is going to look like. And two, start with a product. They've already given us the ability, to cultivate hemp in Minnesota.
Okay.
CBD.
Okay.
So, a lot of people want to get in the industry. I know this isn't really what we were talking about, but
I really want to talk about this. That's something that I think we definitely should unpack.
Right.
Because that's another facet of it. If people of color are going to be disproportionately arrested, then how come we're not participating in this? How come we're not given seats at the table or told to get seats at the table or how to get seats at the table? Right. Like, put me on game. I'm trying to be on game because I'm looking at $1 billion industry that I'm locked out of.
Well, I mean, maybe that's what we're missing. We're just missing somebody to be like, hey, this is what you got to do. There you go. But like, start with CBD, start with hemp. If you're a grower, get in the Minnesota hemp program, grow hemp. Mm-hmm. If you want to sell, find a good grower. You know what I'm saying? Find a good grower, start your own brand with CBD, flower, tincture, whatever you can. So you at least learn, right? So you at least learn, how the market works. And then once legalization does come, you're set up, and then you're not just, trying to scrape all the pieces together once it comes. So, yeah.
I mean, I guess for somebody who would be looking at the industry, like, there's probably a lot of people who are currently dealers that are looking for ways to go legit. So what would be the first step? Like, what is the very first thing you do when you're looking into becoming a legalized cannabis provider?
Once it's legal, there'll be a whole different process. But with CBD, you first want to get in the pilot program with the MDH, I believe it is, Minnesota Department of Agriculture, actually.
So MDA?
Yeah. Don't quote me on that. I'm sorry. I don't have the facts right in front of me.
No worries. We'll figure it out, though. We'll have to do that.
Minnesota Hemp Farmers and Manufacturers Association can walk you through the whole process on how to get a license, how to qualify. I think the fee is like $500 or something like that. And then you can start growing hemp yourself. Grounded Gardens, they've got hemp and they do it all by hand. So they don't have any machinery, They go out there, they plant their field by hand, they grow their plants, they pick them. It's easy, Well, no, I'm sorry. It's not easy. But if you already know how to grow, the process is, not as hard as people think it is.
Oh yeah, I don't have a green thumb, y'all. Yeah. I have a brown thumb. I kill everything I touch.
I don't have a green thumb either, so I know some people that grow and
it's good to have friends that got skills.
Okay, well, I'm gonna find a way to get it off into the community. Yeah. So yeah.
I feel, but yeah, CBD is on the way. I feel like CBD is a good touching point to get the THC. But what are the main differences? So a lot of people don't know the difference between THC and CBD. So is it just, so CBD is just it's just the leaf without the cannabinoid, right?
Yeah, this is the cannabinoid. So CBD does not get you high. THC is actually what gets you high. But they're finding that there's a bunch of different, cannabinoids in the cannabis plant besides just CBD and THC. There's also CBG, CBN. So now that they're allowing people to use the product and do more research on it, they're finding other things that they can, enhance for better medical values in CBD minus the THC. But THC will get you high, so,
I just don't understand. This is so weird to me because at the same time, I know people who take Zoloft. Yeah, I know people who take things that are way more caustic for you with way crazier side effects than marijuana. Yeah. Do you think that the marijuana not being legalized is left over from like maybe a puritanical Christian ideal? Or why do you believe marijuana? Because we have stronger drugs that do way worse things to you.
Yeah, alcohol. Tobacco.
Yep.
Coffee.
Yep.
Peanuts.
Yep.
Bee stings. Selfies. More selfie deaths than cannabis deaths.
Wait. Who's died from
seriously?
Selfies? Walking into traffic like, hey.
Yeah, right.
I've seen a few of those where people are trying to get selfies and fall off buildings.
Causing car crashes, whatever, but it's crazy, but...
So why? So why is THC still illegal when more people are dying from shark bites?
I mean,
More people are dying from walking into stop signs.
I don't know. You think it's got to be, you know, financial, you know, have to do something with who's making the most money, how they can tax it, how they can regulate it. You know, once they figure that out, I'm sure it'll, you know, become legal a lot faster.
So this is once again, it boils down to a money grab for something that grows out of the dirt.
Everything always boils down to money, doesn't it?
Obnoxious.
It seems like it.
It seems like it. Well, when dealing with the American government, it definitely seems like everything boils down to how to line my pockets.
Right. It's a machine. You know, it's made to generate. So
use it. Yeah. It's made to generate. It's made to make this profitable for the people at charge, which is kind of obnoxious. Just putting that out there. Like, really? This plant that could grow anywhere. Like, I'm glad we didn't find out roses could get you high, or else we wouldn't have roses anymore. But I mean, that's actually goes back to another reason why marijuana was made illegal back in, once again, in the 1920s when they tried to make it legal again. You know, paper lobbyists saw it as an affront to them that, oh, well, if you could make paper out of weed and hemp, we gotta ban it all. You know, and that was part of it too. And then there was the racist part of it. And now we have whole new reasons because the pharmaceutical companies don't want you using marijuana. I mean, okay, so we know that there are some people in political situations in Minnesota that pharmaceutical companies have their hands in their pockets. How do you handle that when you're coming to people with the, you know, the benefits and beauty that come with marijuana? How do you handle that when you're up against these, like, I want to say I'll just say pharmaceutical companies instead of monsters, instead of rich monsters that will fight you at every step. How are you handling that?
I mean, dodge.
You gotta dodge.
Dodge and punch. You know, you can't, you know, it's impossible to beat, you know. I'm not going to say it's impossible, but it's a hard battle. You know, you just got to keep, you know, winning the little wins you can get here and there.
It's a David and Goliath situation.
Yeah, it's been like that for a long time. So
yeah, and I think and back to the CBD, which shout out to CBD.
Oh, Canada Fativa.
Yeah, but I think that's another reason people are a little bit afraid to get into the CBD industry and the cannabis industry because the rules are always changing.
Yep.
And you're up against people that really, you're like, while we say most of the people, most you and me, and a lot of people in Minnesota want marijuana. We want legalized CBD and all that. But the rules are always changing. And I feel like a lot of people feel like they'll get into it and then they'll be up against, you know, the pharmaceutical industry. They'll be up against people who don't want that to happen. Like, how would you handle that? Because I feel like that is a problem that anybody who would be wanting to get into the CBD industry or the THC industry, if it's legal in other places, if you're someplace else listening to this, how would you tell them to handle something like that? Just dodge and weave, bob and weave?
Man, try to, you know, get involved, you know, pay attention to the laws that are changing and then just adjust your program. With hemp, it's like the Wild West out there. You know, there's all kind of products that are out that may or may not be good for people. There's not a lot of testing on it. They did pass some legislation requiring testing. They need to know where it was tested, third party. So they're trying to work on that, but you know, just follow the laws. Pay attention as the laws change. If it says you need this on your label, okay, you need that on your label. If they say it needs to be a third party testing, get it tested by a third party, as long as you follow the rules as they're changing. Because, you know, just like anything, the rules change all the time. You know, they could change a rule in your city and the next thing you know, you're getting, you know, your car towed. You know,
Truth.
And they're not going to be like, well, I didn't know that. You know, well, it was changed the other day. So, I mean, they did that to us at the state fair, actually.
They did do that. I remember that.
Yep.
I was there for that.
Yep. We were giving out free joints. CBD, of course.
Yeah.
But we had hundreds of free joints and we're just giving them out for free to people. And they said we couldn't do it. Any smokable product in the state fairground area. So we just kept the joints and gave them out somewhere else. But
true.
Yeah,
I stopped by and saw you guys that week.
It's crazy as they changed the law the night before the first day of this fair. And they came around with paperwork for us and was like, yeah, you can't have any.
But
it was horrible.
Oh, well.
I mean,
I guess this year karma came through and was just like, you ain't let my homie smoke? I'm shutting it down.
Right.
This, the studio's closed, y'all.
Right.
I'm closing the studio.
Right. Yeah. Ooh, yeah. No fair either.
Yeah, this is gonna get like, I mean, I'm not a Minnesotan. But I do know that the state fair is a really big deal for people here.
Yeah, kind of. A little bit.
It seems pretty
turns
huge.
out hundreds of thousands of people every year.
And also generates hundreds and thousands of dollars.
Yeah, millions.
Millions of
Martha's
dollars.
Cookie makes millions on her own. Come on.
Oh, yeah. I've had one Martha Cookie. I'm so sad I need more in my life.
Right.
I would like more Martha cookies, but I'm not really a fair person.
Right. Well, if you get in your car, they're going to be doing a drive-through fair. You can drive through, order you a bucket of Martha's cookies.
Yeah. Well,
I might do that. I know I'm going to have all our volunteers are going to be out there doing voter registration, voter pledging, handing out cards to people that are driving by in the cars and stuff. But yeah, you know, because voting is important, and August 11th is the primary election, so we definitely got to get out to vote and remind people to get out and participate.
Definitely participate because, like, I mean, while some people do not give a crap about the current presidential election, I mean, that orange Cheeto, a lot of us, I feel like he's going to try to steal the election, but that's neither here nor there. The important elections happen in your neighborhoods. The important elections happen where you and your kids lay your head, where you lay your head, you know, like let's see, in a couple days, tomorrow the bars close. That affects you for real.
They close. Well, they don't necessarily close. They have to change the way that they operate, I believe.
Yeah.
They have to have an outdoor patio or something, and some extra stuff. But yeah, that sucks.
That sucks because a lot of places don't always have those accommodations. And that's kind of like how you're talking with the marijuana industry.
Right.
Some, if you can't meet those accommodations of the law, however, that becomes a problem when you're trying to step into the industry as a professional, as a grower, as an owner. Yeah.
And that I know that COVID did affect a lot of the CBD businesses. Like, they had to shut down.
Oh, wow.
Even though the big businesses, the cannabis dispensaries, the medical, they were deemed essential and they allowed them to operate. But the small CBD shops shut all of them down. Some of them were just getting started, you know? Yeah. So imagine that they're out of business already. They probably can't afford to, you know, reopen whenever they allow them to open. You know?
Oh no, not at all. The thing is, Rona is out here clapping fools. Yeah. Rona is taking people out in these streets. You know, small businesses are going down. Not cannabis, CBD businesses are going down. What do you see as a future of cannabis and CBDs now in a post-coronavirus America? How do you see this going?
I mean, people that use it are still going to find it one way or another. You know, go to a shop that's open.
Or we're going to start growing it.
Order it online.
People are going to start doing what they have to do. People will figure out how to grow it, buy it, make versions of it.
Yeah, I don't know, man. They said that about cows, but it's not too many people making burgers. You know what I'm saying? You just go to the store and pick it up.
But I mean, if you look at the numbers, not too many people even fucking with cows no more. Vegans and vegetarians are definitely on the rise because there's rumors that eating chicken gives you COVID. There's all kinds of misnomers and rumors and stuff.
That's unfortunate. I like to eat. I need burgers and ribs or something. I don't know. I can
eat a veggie burger. I'll do an Impossible burger. That's as close as I get. But
I eat some salad and some broccoli. I like broccoli, steamed broccoli. That's good.
Vegan's a little bit more. Well, I mean, also you're doing the workout thing, so steamed broccoli and chicken breasts. You know, right. The usual workout diet. People who know about the steamed broccoli and chicken breast, y'all know what we talking about. Right. I know y'all in the gym.
Yeah, I got the COVID diet though. I eat whatever I get my hands on. I might Uber Eats a couple of times. You know, I might just pop in somewhere where you can put your mask on to be in public, but you can take it off at the table. You know, I eat a lot of everything. I don't even really diet as good as I should. You know, I just work out and just try to, you know,
do your best.
Yeah, right.
You gotta do what you gotta do. I mean, right now it's all about trying to stay sane. Yeah. You know, right now it's all about trying to keep yourself together, keep yourself sane, continue your mission, the fight. Right. Oh, there's so much going on though.
Yeah, it is. And you know, and I do have to take a second to say, man, I'm definitely blessed in this situation because there's a lot of people in this situation that ain't in good situations in life, you know, especially if they're losing their jobs. Evictions. They can't take care of their kids, man. I don't know, the people that didn't pay their rent. Oof. You know, so I'm definitely, you know, you got to give credit to the blessings in life as well. So, yeah. You
definitely have to. Some people are not in good situations.
Yeah, so.
I wish I could give them all weed.
Hey, we might be able to. We might give you some CBDs.
Yeah.
I know they ain't gonna get you high, but it's gonna make you feel a little better shit.
I might need that THC though. I might just have to take a little trip to Chicago for a couple days, and then I'll come back and see y'all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just overall that's so with legislation, how soon could Minnesota have recreational marijuana?
I'm not even gonna say. I don't even want to put a number or a date. You know,
Is it? So it ain't gonna be a couple months.
It's all crazy the way it is right now. You know, if like full legalization, unless it happens at the federal level, and they allow the states to kind of decide on their own, and people kind of change their mind. We're really gonna have to find out after the elections. You know, in November, if we don't get the right legislators and the right people in office to actually pass the legislation, then we're not going to see legalization until we get the right people in there. So yeah,
that could be any time.
Yeah,
that could be any time.
That could be 2 more years. That could be 4 more years. That's why it's important for people to get out and use their right to vote, because if we don't vote the right people in, and I know there's candidates on the ballot for legal marijuana now, grassroots. If you remember, we got major party status when I ran for office, and that was great, but it wasn't so great because now anybody can go down there and put their name on the ballot with the words legal marijuana now. They just got to pay the fee, the filing fee.
So there could be people who are anti-marijuana going down there and creating smear campaigns.
Yeah, there was actually an article that was put out by Minnesota Reformer, I believe it was. And he talked about candidates that were actually Republican, and they openly said that they went on there because they want to steal the votes away from the Democratic candidate.
Damn.
So like I said, man, it's crazy, man. It's a cutthroat game they playing. You got to really pay attention and do some research. Don't just click on somebody because it says legal marijuana. Actually look into those people and find out if they really support what the people are trying to fight for. And I think it sucks because in the past we kind of had like a gladiator school. You got to get through in order to get on the ballot. You had to get thousands of signatures, and you had to get out there and you had to grind. Otherwise, you didn't get on the ballot. The way it is now is just horrible. So we definitely got to educate as best as we can. So.
I had to take a sip real quick.
Yeah, wet your whistle, huh?
Yeah, with the whistle. We've been talking for a while, but
right.
Yeah, and I guess that don't help many people in Minnesota, but hopefully it'll get people out there to vote to change that. Do you receive a lot of static when you're trying to be in the Senate and the House trying to fight for these things? Do you receive a lot of pushback?
It depends on who you're talking to.
Okay.
If you're talking to, Senator Gazelka, there's going to be a lot of pushback because he doesn't support legalization. I believe Marcus Harkis actually got thrown out of his office one time. Yeah, so it's kind of crazy. But then on the other side, the legislators that do support, they're really welcoming. They always show up. They always create opportunities for us to kind of get the word out and educate people. So, I guess there's people that do want to push back, but they don't really talk to you. If they wanted to push back, they just ignore you or won't respond.
Okay. So. Have you had a conversation with Mayor Fry yet?
I have.
Legalization.
Multiple times. Yeah.
How does
definitely.
he feel about that?
He supports legalization. He actually came out to a parade, and I seen him in Open Streets 2018. I told him I was running for state auditor. He came out to the Legal Marijuana Now group at the parade, in the May Day parade, and he lined up with us and took pictures and stuff. And he's always been about, supporting legalization. So he does have a firm stance on that. And I believe when he got into office, he decriminalized Minneapolis, I believe. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
It happens. It happens.
Yeah.
That's why I do take notes sometimes, but I'm like, okay, let me try not to stick with anything.
Yes,
we say wild things on the show all the time.
It's just so much stuff going on, and so many different bill numbers, and so many different. I kind of mix them up, so I don't ever, unless I have it sitting in front of me where I can read it off to you. I'm not going to give you the wrong information. So.
As long as you put a disclaimer there, like this information will be brought to you by stoners.
Right.
This information is brought to you by weed. Right. Don't take some of it seriously. Do some research. But do some research.
Right.
Before you get there and you start repeating this, make sure you do some research, guys. Right. Don't be out here being like, well, okay, they told me.
Yeah.
You gotta look it up. You got the most powerful computer known to man in your hands right now, y'all.
In your head too, though. But
and in your head?
Yeah, but
cell phone. But you know what? My cell phone doesn't have my brain doesn't have Wikipedia in it.
Right,
so
it don't.
Don't have Wikipedia. I ain't got no dictionaries.
Right.
Since I just said I ain't got, so you know. Yeah, I was like, we have access to like use your brain. We have access to some of the most amazing computers. One in our hand, one in our head.
Right.
I wish a lot more people used that.
Both.
Well, true.
A little less of the one in your hand.
Yeah.
A lot of people use that computer too much. You know, it kind of messed the one in your head up a little bit, scramble your code.
Yeah. But we gotta keep it real, like.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Gotta keep it real. Not everybody's that bright. Some of them need that phone.
Yeah. Well, the phone is great, but the bad part is when you get sucked into all the unnecessary. You know, sometimes you go there looking for one thing and find a long trail of some dumb shit.
Yeah.
You know? And then next thing you know, you're scrolling for a half hour commenting on some other shit that has nothing to do with you. You know, but
man, you know what? I had to get myself out of the fighting people on the internet about dumb things.
Yeah, them phones.
I was like, I need to conserve my energy. I can't fight with you about whether the original Ronald McDonald's is scarier than the modern Ronald McDonald's for 3 hours.
Oh, I seen a lot of fights about the Earth being flat.
Oh wow.
Wow. Stupid stuff. Like ridiculous.
Was it B.O.B.? Yeah. But yeah, anyway, we're coming almost to the end of the show. We're about to wrap it up. I had an amazing conversation with you. What is next for Minnesota marijuana?
Same thing as every day. You know, keep pushing, try to legalize it, register, pledge voters, get out in the community. We got events coming up. This Saturday, we're going to be out in Rochester, Minnesota, doing voter registration, voter pledge drives. The 15th, we got a Woodstock event, and we're going to be in Anoka at a car show doing voter registration, voter pledge drives. I mean, just look for us. We got our flags on long 10-foot poles, so you can't miss it.
There'll be social distancing, y'all.
Yeah,
we're not pro-COVID.
Well, we'll be working on it. You know, we'll have masks, and you know, we got to approach you.
Yeah. I mean, you got to do what you got to do.
Right.
As long as you guys stay safe out there, that's the important part. Because we need you out here fighting. We can't, you know, we don't need Rona clapping y'all.
Right.
We don't need Rona like doing drive-bys on y'all.
It's real. It's happening.
It's real. It's happening. We need to stop pretending it is. But thank you so much for coming by. How do they find you?
Just look me up on Facebook, Michael Ford. Look me up on our website at minnormal.org. That's MINN normal, NORML.org. Look over everything on there. You know, shoot me a message if you want to connect with me.
And also ask him for his workout tips. He's also part of Canna Fativa. Ask him for his workout tips because he's a swole stoner.
Yeah, I'll definitely be out there with the Canna Fativa. I think we're going to be at the state fair this year. Well,
the state drive-through?
The Black State Fair.
Okay.
Yeah. It's kind of weird, but yeah.
I got to figure that out. Like, I've seen it. I just don't know how that one works.
Oh, it's going to be dope. It's going to be dope, you know.
It definitely is.
Event, so. I'm
excited about all of this. Thank you so much for stopping by and talking to me about weed, which is my favorite subject in the world.
Right. Mine too.
This is the MADELINEKARITA show. Thank you guys for joining me. We got some upcoming guests. We're going to have Ari Spears from Mad TV. We're going to have, not today, the upcoming guests next week. We're going to, in the coming weeks. Ari Spears from Mad TV, Kevin Gaveau, who wrote the Underworld series and created it. Most people do not know that a 6'4", also swole black man wrote and starred in the Underworld series. Well, not starred, but acted in the Underworld series.
Is he the one that got the
daggers
werewolf in the back and he pulled the daggers out? Okay.
And he's the one who actually wrote the comic books. He's the one who also created and wrote the series. Who else? We got some other people coming up, but you know, talk to Ryan Coogler from Black Panther. We're going to see how that works out. So make sure to tune in. We're going to have other interesting guests. That's something to say. Other than that, make sure to check us out on MCN6 and Roku, possibly Amazon Prime soon. We'll see. Thank you. Thank you so much for coming in. Deuces, y'all. Smoke one.
Well, there it is.
Whoop, there it is.